Hi there, it's Karen at Corrie Papercrafts here, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in central Scotland. Today I thought I'd make a project using one of our retiring products, which is the Follow Your Art. Well, the whole suite is retiring, but I'm using the Follow Your Art designer series paper, and it's a box to gift a set of Stampin' blends. Now, I don't have any that are still in the packet. These are my own blends that I'm just using for the purposes of demonstrating in the video, and I've allowed a little extra room in the box if you wanted to gift them in their cellophane wrappers, but I actually think they look just as nice out of the cellophane. I'm sure the person that you're gifting them to will know that although they're not in the wrapper, they're still new. So I'm going to show you how I made it. So to make this, you're going to need quite a few bits of card and designer series paper. Now this one I made using Pacific Point card as my box, and then I did a layer of Coastal Cabana before I put my DSP on the top. So this time round I thought I would make my box in Coastal Cabana and do all my card layers in Pacific Point, but using the same sheet of paper. So there are quite a lot of measurements to go through, but they're not too difficult. It's just a little bit fakey, but I like the end result. So to start off with, you'll need a piece of card for your actual box that measures 8 3/4 inches by 5. And then for all the panels, for the top and bottom panels here, you'll need 2 pieces of cardstock which measure 6 1/8 by 1 3/8 inches, and then the DSP to go on the top of that will measure 6 inches by 1, let me think now, by 1 1/4. I'm starting to doubt myself now, so I'm just going to check. Yeah, 6 by 1 1/4, and they're going to layer on top like that. And then for the side panels, you're going to need 2 of each again. So you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock which measure 6 1/8 inches by 5/8 of an inch, and then you're going to need 2 pieces of DSP which measure 6 inches by 1/2 an inch, and again those are just going to layer on like that with a little bit of a border round them. And then for the little panels on the end of your boxes, again you'll need 2 of each, and you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock which measure, now let me think, let me just check my measurements here, 1 3/8 by 5/8 of an inch for the 2 pieces of cardstock, and the 2 pieces of DSP are going to measure 1 1/4 inches by 1/2 an inch. So quite a lot of measurements, but it's really only 3 lots of measurements, and double them up for 2 of each. So we're going to do a little bit of scoring first, so I'm going to move all of this just out of the way for now. Bring in my scoreboard. And to score on the long side first, we're going to score at 1/2 an inch and 1 1/4 inches on both ends. So turn it round and do 1/2 an inch and 1 1/4 inches again, and then turn it to the short side, and you're going to score at 1 1/2, 2 1/4, 3 3/4, and 4 1/2, and that's all the scoring done. So we'll get the scoreboard out of the way again, and then fold and burnish on all of those score lines. Just grab my paper creaser. So this might need a bit of persuading. These are quite thick cards, or card. The more colour in the card, the more pigment there is but it gives you a nice, strong, sturdy box once you're finished. So I'm just going to burnish these last ones on each end. There we go. And then we're going to do some cutting. So looking at it, well, probably either side, but looking at it up and down the way might be a little bit easier. So when the box goes together, this 1/2 inch panel here will actually be the panel that joins the box together. So I want that to the back of the box. So this part here is a flap that's going to come over and close the box. So top and bottom, I'm keeping all of these. So I'm going to get rid of this part here, both of these parts, this part here, and both of these. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other end. So just so that you can see, we're going to remove those, that part, both of those, and that part, and we're going to keep these parts because it's a double-ended box. It opens at both ends, this end and this end, and it'll actually fold flat as well once it's made up. So let's do some cutting. So when you're cutting, you only want to remove the score line on the part that you're going to be keeping. The rest you can just cut straight up those score lines, and you're cutting them all up to that second horizontal line. So I'm going to remove the score line so that I've got a flush edge on this part here, and then I'm going to cut up just up the middle of the rest of these score lines here, and then I'm going to, I had to think there, notch here, and I'm going to notch here, and I'll just remove these little squares at this end as well, so that that lets us see the tab for joining the box together. So to come back to this end, I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to just remove these sections on the ends of what will be the tabs on the inside of my lid, but I'm going to remove these two squares completely. So I'll just get my scissors in and remove those, taking the score line with me. Okay, and then the tabs that go inside my lid, I'm just going to notch slightly at either side on both of those, and we're left with that along the bottom. Okay, so we're just going to repeat that on this end. So I'm going to remove the score line from the part that I'm keeping, because this is going to close my box, and then I'm just going to cut straight down these other score lines here. I'm going to remove those end pieces on these panels here. Then I'm going to remove this part completely, like so. Oops, I don't know what happened there. Oh, I think my scissors are a bit sticky. There we go. And then I'm going to notch on these flaps here, because they're just going to go on the inside of the closures at the end. Okay, so that's all our cutting done. So to let you see that just for a minute, that's how it looks, or if you want to do it that way. Okay, so I'm going to pop some tape on this panel here, and then I'm going to add I'll stick all my other panels on. So I'm going to grab my tearing tape, and I'm just going to put a piece of tearing tape just along next to that line. Give it a bit of a burnish and then leave that for now. And I'm going to get gluing. So this is where I always get messy, as you know. And I'm thinking actually that I'm going to just start a new bottle of glue, because that other one is just about finished. So I'm going to save myself the heartache and just open a new bottle. So I need to remember not to squeeze it so hard though, because it's a brand new bottle. So I'm just adding some glue to my DSP, and I'm going to pop that onto my card panel there. That looks okay. So I'll glue all the panels together and then I'll pop them onto the box. That actually needs straightened up a little bit, that's better. So this part here, come on glue. There we are. Just glue that onto there in the middle. That looks okay. And then it gets a little bit more fiddly when we come to do these other pieces. It's only fiddly because I get in a mess, other people manage it perfectly. So that goes in the middle of there. That looks okay. And same again with this bit here. Oops. Bit of glue down each side and the middle, and there she goes. That's the first messy bit on a new bit of grid paper too, but that's okay, I'll get that with my adhesive eraser just in a minute once it dries. So that's that panel there. There we go. And then I've just got my little panels for the end to do. So some glue round, oh come on, some glue around here. I want that to squish out the ends though. So this panel onto here. And the same for, oops, for this one. Oh, oh fingers and thumbs. There we are. Just pop that in the middle here. Oh, it was straight. There we are, just before it sets. There we go. So that's okay. Now I'm ready to stick them onto my box. So bit of glue round the outside and a squiggle up the middle, and this goes on to here. Just check that's centred, but I'm happy enough with that. And the same with this panel here. Some glue round the outside and a squiggle in the middle. And add it to here. I'm happy enough with that. And then I think I'll just do a squiggle down the middle on these panels here, but just make sure I've got a bit of glue at each end, and that goes down this panel on the side. There we go. And one last one on the side. Oops. Last one that just attaches, oopsie daisy, to there. It's because it's sticking to me because I've got glue on my fingers. What a surprise. There we go, happy with that. So all that remains is to pop the little panels onto the ends. And for all this is a new bottle of glue, it's not happy to come out. So piece on there, and oops, a piece on there. There we are. There we are. Now before I stick it together, and it might have been an idea to do it before I stuck these end panels on, but I'm just going to use my trio punch to round the corners on those flaps there. Oops. I'm not getting that one in right, I don't think. I think that's it this time. And then just turn that over and pop it in that way, and round that corner and round that corner, and hope I didn't shake you too much. I know I've moved my grid paper. And now that that glue here is dry, I'm just going to get rid of that with my adhesive eraser. There we go. And I'm ready to stick my box together. So I'm going to use the pointy end on my take your pick tool, fold over any excess at either end, and then just fold the box over, and these should match up perfectly. There you are. So that is a fold flat box. You can make it up ahead of whatever you need it for, and with a bit of luck these should close. Yep, looks like they're going to, but before I do, I'm going to grab my little 1/2 inch punch, which unfortunately is retiring, but I will not be parting with mine. And I'm just going to line it up about halfway through the punch, and I'm just wanting to kind of make sure it's even at both sides, and then give it a really good squeeze because it's going through 2 thicknesses of cardstock and 1 quite thick card, and a piece of DSP as well. So I'm just going to straighten that up a little bit because I think I moved it, and then give it a good squeeze. There we are. And the same on the other side, again just eyeballing it to make sure it's straight. You can mark it if you want, but I'm just doing it by eye, and probably about there. There we are. And then all I need to do is close the ends of the box. It would make sense to pop my Stampin' Blends in at this point, and I'm ready to decorate it. So I need a scrap of Whisper White card. Here we are here. And I'm going to use Coastal Cabana ink. For this box here I used Pacific Point, which matched the box, but I'm going to use Coastal Cabana this time because I've changed the colour of my base card. And I'm using the stamp set that's in this suite. It starts with Art. It's a cling stamp set, but the whole suite is retiring unfortunately, so I'm going to have to say goodbye. But I'm using the Follow Your Art here. I just love the swirly font on it. So I've already got my stamp mounted on a block, and I'm not bothered about whether it's straight or not because I'm actually going to punch it out. And I'm going to use my classic label punch, which fits it perfectly, and I'm just going to line that up. It's not actually straight. The writing as well as the font is a bit swirly. There we are. And then using a piece of the strip for my dimensionals here, use all the bits of your dimensionals, and these are just perfect for going behind something that you've punched out with the classic label punch. I need to just trim a little bit off the end of here. There we go. And I'm just going to stick that to the middle of my box, which is about there. And then I used the arts and crafts dies that are part of this suite as well, which are really quite pretty. I'll let you see the dies first. So these cut out 3 separate pens, these pens here, and you've got some nice borders here. There's a die that cuts out these ribbons as well, and there are a few little flowers and buttons and things. So I actually cut out quite a few earlier just so that I could choose which colour I wanted, but rather than using the buttons that have got these little holes in the middle, I actually just picked out these ones here because they don't have any holes in the middle, so I think I'm going to use those two. I might use one of those. I'll have a look just in a second and see which I prefer. So I used Calypso Coral and Bermuda Bay on top of the last box just because that matches the paper, but I'm wondering if I should... I quite like the Calypso Coral actually, so I think I'll use the Calypso Coral and the Coastal Cabana one because I'm thinking the Pacific Point one is just a little bit too dark, so I'm going to pop these on here I think. So I need my big dimensionals. Here we are. Yeah, one on the back of each, just one here and one here, and I'm just going to pop these on the side of the box like that. There you go, and that's my box made. No bling today, no ribbon, just card and paper basically, and a few dimensionals and a bit of ink and a bit of stamping, and all my bits at the side here are now starting to fall over. I daren't show you my desk, it's an absolute mess. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this tutorial. If you do want any of this suite, it is retiring, so I wouldn't wait too long, particularly the paper. I might get some more of this paper before it does go because I really do like it, and I'll just use it for personal crafting, but it will go, and now that the retiring list is out, it'll go quicker now that people know that it is retiring. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that. Give it a thumbs up if you did. If you don't already subscribe to my channel, I would love it if you would, and click on the little bell icon at the side, and that'll give you a notification every time I post a new video. And I hope to see you again very soon with another video. So until then, take care, stay well, and bye bye.